Hi, I'm George Nordhaus, and I'm finishing my presentation now, at long last, for the PIA of Indiana. The last one we just sent you, but full introduction was, I grant you pretty long, it is the trying to understand the things that we really have to understand if we're going to be marketing in the years ahead as independent insurance agents. And we talked about understanding communications and technology and marketing, and there's never, it just never ends, does it? It hardly ever ends. Well, at any rate, I ended on this slide. What I usually do is this: I usually take a break here, and I tell people to stand up on the count of 3, turn around and shake hands with the people behind you. And every time they do that, all they see is somebody else's back, and that goes over pretty well. But not today. Let's talk about what we're going to talk about some more here. Let us talk about commodities, because that's part of what we're going to talk about. You know, commodities are, and obviously, smaller profit margin and all that we're all putting up with. But the big thing is the brand name and everything that we lose in the process of it. We're dealing with the commodities, and I don't have to teach you all about that. You're seeing it. But Scott Addis, Beyond Insurance, said it beautifully. He said, we just need to do 3 simple things, and we can make it in this marketplace. We need to repackage, reposition, and then he says we need to develop a unique process focused on creating intimacy in the customer experience. That's the name of the game. Intimacy in the customer experience, and we'll talk about that. Obviously, the issue is commoditization, as he's talking about. And then he said something that really made it come all clear for me. He said, I strongly believe commoditization creates a huge opportunity for agents who are able to stand out in a crowded marketplace, and that, of course, is the long-term answer. Well, I went I went to a group of a meeting, masterminds. You may have heard of it. It's young guys, but they're really sharp, and they meet on a monthly basis and all that sort of thing. And I listened to one of them about a couple of months ago, and they said, and here's what the things they were talking about up there in the years to come, the subject, we were going to talk about what they're going to do. And then they said, and this really got me, and I wrote it all down, here's what they said, and I didn't realize this was happening. We can't compete with the Geicos of the world. Our agents, or our present clients, are calling us at renewal time, telling us what they can pay for their insurance. I never knew that, but that's a part of the commoditization. We're having to search all of our companies to meet those threats. We're spending as much time on renewals as we used to on new business. Boy, was that amazing to me. They said insurers want more inspections on home. This probably sounds familiar to you guys. Our commissions are heading downwards. I think that's probably true, not radically, but something. We don't know how to reach potential customers, and I think that is definitely the truth. We don't know how to differentiate ourselves from our competition. How tough is that? And we have no specific procedures at renewal time. None. How about that? No procedures. Can you imagine at renewal? Yeah, you can, because I know what you're thinking. We don't do annual reviews of each of our personal lines clients. I can't believe that, but I do believe it because I'm hearing it time and time again. Well, what was the answer? I guess that's a good question. What was the answer? There weren't any. There weren't any specific answers other than expanding their social networking activities and building relationships. And they started beating on that, and I started getting them the message there too. The usual magic answer given when how are we going to differentiate ourselves from the commoditizers? And you must develop relationships. But I keep asking everybody, what in the world are relationships? How are they developed and nurtured? Well, of course, we're talking about customer loyalty. We all want to do it. We all need to do it. We all have to do it if we're going to survive. But we really must do that. Let's change the subject a little bit. How many of you know what a CRM is? I asked that question. I asked it when I'm making a talk here. And I said, how many of you use a CRM? And you'd be surprised at the number of people who don't. Of course, a CRM is a customer relationship management system. But most of you aren't using it. You're using your agency management system. But I went a little bit further. I see, do you have a formalized, organized client relationship system? Not a regular CRM like Salesforce or one of those, but do you have some way or another of organizing your client relationship system? Everybody says, well, we got great relationships with our customers. That's fine. How many customers do you have? Well, 3,000 or 4,000. How many people of those do you know personally? Well, maybe 100. You know, how does that work? It doesn't hardly work that way, does it? How many times a year do you touch your clients? And that's something I'm going to keep asking you. How many times do you get touched by Geico? You. How many times a day do you see Geico? Let me see them, hear them, taste them, feel them on television, everywhere else. I can tell you what the number is. Are you ready for that? More than 1,000 times a year. 1,000 times a year, doesn't it? Oh, sounds simple, doesn't it? But however, there are no systems or procedures existing in the independent insurance agency business that show specific ways those relationships can be created and maintained. Would you agree with this? Well, in this economy, retention is the new acquisition. Read that again. I think that's one of the most important things I've ever come up with. In this economy, retention is the new acquisition. Well, we know what's happening. Computers are going to get smaller and smaller. They go inside our bodies and all that kind of stuff. It's craziness, isn't it? Search engines won't wait to be asked, they're saying. And then there's Watson. You know, Watson's that computer that came, that IBM spent $29 billion on, that won the Jeopardy game, all that sort of thing. Well, to this point, we're really saying it's very difficult for you as an independent agent to be able to cope without help, and you need all the help you can get. And I'm talking about from your companies or organizations that offer marketing help. It just isn't easy to do by yourself. I know that, but you can at least try to understand what's going on in this crazy marketplace. Well, one thing I love to show you here is this. I know you guys, not too many of you are still advertising in the Yellow Pages. That's passe by sure. I only want to show you this because I love this chart. I got it back in 2005. And Bill Gates, I don't know who that is. I sort of heard of him, I think. Anyway, he said it dropped the next, that was by 2010. Well, it has. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Only 1 out of 9 Americans even uses the white pages anymore. The rest of us use the internet, or we call information, or whatever it is. But we use the internet. We hardly ever call it information anymore. I don't even know the number of information. 911. No, that's another one, isn't it? Regulators are giving phone companies permission to stop printing the white pages. What do you think of that? Amazing, amazing. And that's the white pages. Forget the yellow pages. Well, how many? Where's it going to stop? Where's it going to stop? I don't know where it's going to stop. I have a friend in England, Barry Wells, who's he was the Geico of England, made him $10 billion. He started an auto insurer there, another one of these things. It uses satellite navigation for the pricing. How do you like that? They don't charge until you can see your exact mileage, the time of day, the days of the week, and dot, 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 dot. Where's this thing going to stop? I don't know where it's going to go. His program even includes braking velocity as part of the pricing algorithm. I don't know. How soon will it be before anyone can get comparative rates at any time for all lines of insurance, including commercial? Now is the answer. It's here now. You just haven't seen it yet. You go to Hiscox USA if you want to see one that does it. But, oh, of course, commercial lines are coming online, particularly for small businesses, faster than you and I can even think. And I can't go there right now. But should you be worried? Yeah. Well, small businesses are going to buy insurance direct from carriers. 751 small business buyers from a variety of industries that I saw this survey on, following the 2 focus groups and to test the opinion. Oh, I had this on one of my Monday mornings, and I thought it was fascinating. 84% expected this is business now. 84% say they can get a cheaper price. Why are they going to go to it? Not very likely, 46%. Somewhat likely, 35%. Very likely, 16%. They expect it to be easier to buy insurance. They expect to get more suitable coverage. Well, you know, all those things. But I think this. Independent agents need to take notice. We can't sit back and wait for the phones to ring or assume the children of our clients. And I love that one because that's the way it was mine. I bought from my parents and insurance guy, didn't you? Will automatically become our clients. And then I love this from Cindy Dawson. She says we can't compete with the advertising budget. We need to connect our clients in other ways, particularly with our inbound marketing strategy. So we're going to talk about taking action now. All right, we know a little bit about it. We've learned a little bit about it. Let's talk about taking action in communications. First, ask yourself these questions. Do you think that the internet and all form of electronic communications are the way we communicate? Are we happy with our website? That's the one you got to ask yourself. Are we constantly communicating with our clients? And if not, what are we going to do about it? That's the name of the game. I think that you better have a call for action in your website. Once you get people there, it's not always apparent what you want them to do. And as you can see, they all, effective ones, have a clear path of motion towards action steps. You need to push them in that direction with action steps. Once you get people into your site, they got to know what to do, where to go, and all those good things. Well, I think that we all understand that, but let's go forward a little bit and see what else we can do. Oh, incidentally, that thing was called the sales funnel. I forgot to tell you about that. Yeah, every website should have a sales funnel. Funnel, you know, forcing people on into taking the action. Well, you know, that's communications a bit. Let's talk about taking action technology-wise. Do we have a website? These are things you need to ask yourself. Robust. Is our search engine optimized properly? Do we utilize smart forms for your quoting? If you don't know what that is, I'll explain it to you anytime. Just call me. Can we integrate with our agency management system? That's pretty tough. These guys are not doing a good job with agency management system people making integration possible, but that's another story. I won't go there right now. Okay. You need to set the system up so your clients can come in once and then use all the services you and your companies offer. This is really important to you. If you're going to be communicating, if you're going to be using this the website and all those communication ways that you should, you need to have your customers be able to compete as much as they can. I mean, complete necessary forms and so forth as much as they can right on your website. Here's an agency over in Massachusetts. Fred's Teacher, it's a big agency. But look at all the things here that when you go into his client resources, you can get the certificates, of course. You can make your payments. You can get your client update on your account. You get your change requests, billing inquiry, ID card requests, insurance certificates, blah, 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 blah. On and on and on it goes. Why do they do that? Because they find that the younger people want to do that, a lot of them, for themselves. Well, we could go on forever in there, but let's take, what do you do about marketing? How do you take action about marketing? That's what this thing's all about. That's what I'm all about. I know that. First of all, we got to do something. We got to understand our agency. I love this one. Every year you get an offer for your agency so you know your net worth. Well, that's one way to look at it, I guess, like that. But how are we trying to be all things to all people? This was done by one of my Monday mornings, incidentally. It was done by Bruce Cochran, head of Renaissance. And he's a phenomenal guy. Renaissance is an aggregator, biggest one in the Northeast. They do about $500 million in premium, and he's got about 100 agencies. But anyway, it's really good. And they're not in Indiana, so I'm not trying to tell you anything here. But he said, most of the things with trouble with our agencies, we're trying to be all things to all people. We just got to understand who we are. And that's the important thing. Oftentimes we choose our revenue over the peace of mind that we have. And he says great clients rarely refer you to bad clients, but firing the bad ones every year is a smart move if you know that you're actually building up a smart network for future referrals. How do you fire clients? Boy, is that tough. You know, we could go in there. That's a whole nother webinar and so on, or seminar and stuff. But what are agencies really doing? Are they writing unprofitable business? Yeah, a whole lot of them are. Ask yourself this. How many of your one policy customers or even two policy customers make you money? If you don't know that number, if you don't know what it costs you to do that business, to handle an individual account, you're in a heap of trouble when you need to get it started then. So the vast majority of agents don't understand which clients are profitable. They don't have a formal relationship building system. They have no constant contact, as I said that before, not even at renewal time. Oh, man, this kills me. Very few personal lines annual reviews. Let me tell you, I left an agency in Albuquerque when I first moved to Santa Fe, New Mexico. He was handling my stuff because he never contacted me. And he never did an annual review. I said, wait a minute, man. I have some changes in my life. I need your help and everything else. But no, he didn't. Well, that's another story. But you know it, and I know it. What's marketplace reality? Well, most of your agents don't know what you sell. I mean, your clients. Are you ready for that? They really don't know what you sell. Half of them would consider buying something from you if you ever ask them to do it. They just don't know all the products and services you sell. Plus, 15% of those people are going to be buying a life insurance from somebody. That means in 7 years, you're going to every customer you have on average is going to be buying a life product, and most of us aren't even selling those. And I know it's easy for me to say and hard for you to do, but nonetheless. Anyway, the average household owns 7 policies, and the 7. But the average agency writes less than 2 policies per household. What do you think of that? Those numbers have been etched in stone for many, many years. How about life insurance? While I'm talking about it just for a minute, it's at the lowest point now ever. Only 44% of households even have an individual policy. Many of them with kids don't have any life insurance, man, I'm telling you. You know the guy that I met and I loved, and still is a great friend of mine, he's retired now. His name Cosmo Conti. He was the #1 agent for State Farm. State Farm, the biggest in the world, #1 agent. And he wrote more life insurance than anybody. 13 years straight. He had an agency in Ohio and then one in Southern California. He made more money by using these 4 words. I'm going to pass them on to you. And if you don't want to use them, that's your problem, but I want to tell you something. He would have people come into his office, and his CSRs and receptionists would take people into his office, and he would say to them, hey, I got a question with you. Are you happy with your life insurance company, business, or your policies? Are you happy with? Those 4 words made him, and I'm not exaggerating, millions of dollars over those years. Billions. That's how good he was with it, because he said, are you happy with? He said, tell people to use it. It still works if they'll do it. Well, according to the Small Business Administration, and we could talk about small businesses for a long, long time. There's many of them, you know who they are and where they are. They're created. Can you believe this? 500,000 of them are created every month? Man, oh man, that's just amazing, isn't it? They represent 55% or 52% of retail sales, wholesale sales. Why am I going on that? Well, because I think the benefits of specializing in small business for you are just vast. You want to create a portfolio, working with one, or rather than maybe riding with one or more larger accounts. Smaller businesses are less subject, you know, to volatility. And we could go on and on this. I'm not going to read this for you because you can read it later and come back to it. But what a need there is. And I'm just big on what agents can really do for small business accounts. And it's just, compared to middle and national accounts, it's tough for you. Small businesses go to direct writers, or now, we've already said that, online, speed of delivery, blah, blah, blah. Oh, enough. Okay, we're still talking about understanding your agencies now. What is your agency? Small business agency? Personal agency? You probably know about the 80-20 rule. It applies to business. As a refresher, you know, 80% of your profits come from 20% of your customers. Of your time spent, 80-20. Of your products, 80-20, the same ones. Of your sales, you know, 80-20 by your top sales staff. You know, it's in any business, the 80-20 thing works. But how's it working in your business? Most people grasp the idea of the 80-20, but don't actually profile the 20% of the customers that spend 80% of revenue. And that's a major problem right there. And well, you just need to find the higher value customers and really understand what makes them outliers by profiling them. Understand who makes the decisions. I can ask you another question. It's kind of shocking when you're trying to understand your agency. Do you have a clearly defined claim system? Well, you heard Emily Hewling at the convention and in May, and it was, well, she's always great. She is one of the best. She did a Monday morning for me, and I said, I'm just going to pass this around to guys because it just makes so much sense. She came up with like 10 tips on having a claims handling. I thought, why don't people have a definitive claim system? I don't know. I thought everybody did, but apparently not. Personal connections. She said, take the claim, conference in the adjuster, follow up in 24 hours or 3 days later or before 3 days later. She said, have your website tell what to do in case of a claim. I can go into website after website, and they don't show that. It's amazing. Why not? It doesn't cost anything. Put it in there. Keep the policyholder informed, she says, when you make the calls. Call them, keep them informed, tell them what's going on. She said, offer to do an account review. How about that? A wonderful opportunity at the claims time, isn't it? Give advice on how to avoid future losses, isn't it? This is not brain surgery here, is it? No, not at all. It's very simple, isn't it, to her? She says, deliver the check personally, if possible. I wouldn't have thought of that. A lot of people send out the check, and that's the way of it. Or know when, it's going out. She says send a follow-up survey. How did we do? Were we good, bad, or indifferent? And then why not call the injured party if it makes sense to do so? Assign one person to oversee the claims handling process in the agency. I don't think most agencies do that. I was surprised that they didn't, to tell you the truth. I always thought they did. And she said finally, tell the staff of the claim, the appropriate people, let them know. Let them know so that they can talk to people. Well, we could go on and on all those things. Do you have a clearly defined proactive services system? How about this? All great agencies have made a commitment to phone scripting. Have you? I never did any of the businesses I've had. Phone scripting. Here's what you're supposed to say. We're all going to say the same thing when we talk to people when they ask us various questions. Those are phone scripts. A really, really, really well-run agency has phone scripts. I've seen some of them just knock my socks off because everybody's on the same page. Oh, then there's enterprise risk management. We could talk about that for a long, long time. If you don't know what it is, and I didn't know, and still I always heard of risk management and everything, but I didn't know what enterprise risk management was. And you know, they really, really, really identify risk. Well, you could call it stewardship or whatever you want to call it, but they quantify, prioritize, you know, all those sorts of things, and then they report them upward and say, here's what we did to help you make more money. This again is from one of my Monday mornings, but it was really, really, really important. And it says, here's how to help your own profitability and to enhance their value proposition. Come back with these. And this is the important part too right here, because it's going to be, we're going to see it forever. Consult with clients about their risks by insurance and those that they'll have to address with or without insurance. Vitally, vitally important. We'll be coming back to that in years to come a lot more. Here's an agency down in Louisville, Logan Lavelle Hunt. They use a stewardship program. Here's what we're going to do with you. They sign it. The agent signs this stuff. This is just part of stewardship. We've got a lot more coming on stewardship from a guy named Rob Eckern, who's the best in the country. And I'm going to have a series of 4 Monday mornings all on stewardship. But that's what you need to do. Tell the people what you're going to do. Tell them when you're going to be there. You're going to follow up with them and make sure that you do everything that you said you were going to do, and you sign your name to it. Let them know. Well, there's all kinds of solutions now to all these things, and we don't. I don't have time, or you don't want to listen to all this stuff. Maybe a report card to the client. Hey, tell me, how did I do? Did I live up to our commitments? It really reminds them of the value of added services. Here's what a report card looks like. I hadn't seen one before I got into all this. I'm learning on this. Why not? Benefits of stewardship. This came from the guy Steve Strong down there in Logan Lavelle in Louisville. He's got some really good stuff here. Come back to this, will you? He said, look, if the competition comes in to quote your account, you can use a report card as a weapon. If the client agrees with the agent or you or the CSR gets high marks, then why fire us out? Well, that makes sense, Steve. All business owners, and I think this is the point here, think long and hard before they decide to fire an employee, especially if they're doing their job, of course. But if the agent performs all the tasks he or she said they would complete and reviews it, then the agent and the client agrees, and the agent can use that to negotiate an opportunity for the last look. That's just a practical, easy idea. If you don't have a renewal checklist, it's time. You can look at this one. There's a lot of them available. There's going to be more out there all the time. Personalized for your agency. This is what we do for you at the renewal time. Well, our friend, and I'm almost to the end here, our friend Mr. Bruce Cochran of Renaissance Group gave these 13 points. He said he wrapped up everything. He makes a number of talks around, and he's just a fantastic, knowledgeable manager up in Boston. And he said these are the 13 points if you're going to be an independent agent that you really got to do. Adapt to the reality that commissions are shrinking. Yep. Develop enhanced and differentiated value proposition. Yeah, for consumers and carriers. Get out of the business of processing quotes, claims, and policies, and concentrate on sales. Wow, how do we do that? Well, there's a lot of ways to do that. We don't have time to talk about them now, but you've seen organizations that can handle a lot of these things for you. You really should look into that. Focus on accessing, organizing, shaping knowledge, communicating it in a way that's valuable to others, and that's very, very. because, well, I don't want to preach. Customers want control, give it to them. Delivered more tailored and deeper expertise as a consultant and facilitator. Now we're back to stewardship, or whatever you want to call it. And then engage your entire organization. How do you do that? It's easy to say. Generate enthusiasm, passion, and real creativity is hard to do. I understand that. Develop some non-P&C revenue sources. Of course, what are we talking about? Life, maybe human resources. There's many, many that you can do. But if you're going to do it, that's one of the things to success. Get revenue from existing customers with account rounding. Well, you know that, and we've talked about it with new products and services. Go digital and social. You're doing it, obviously. Seek operational efficiencies and scale. Outsource certain functions. We talked about that. Grow bigger or band together with other agents. And I think that's really important. What are we talking about? Aggregators? Yeah. There's a lot of good aggregators around. I won't mention them. You know who they are. But you could have your own. I know probably 100 different aggregating groups. I don't know. Many around this country. They're working with other agents. They have to be bigger in order to compete. Well, running down to the end now. Here's our challenge, your challenges, my challenges. How to make the internet the hub of communications for us. Got to do it. How to bring together the best marketing, communications, and technology on a single turnkey platform. We haven't talked much about that, but that's the way it goes. How to compete. We've got to be able to talk about it, but it's got to be simple enough in application so that we can do it without you knowing a heck of a lot about technology. I'm sure you know a lot more about it than I do. I'm not a techie, but I sure know a lot of young people who are, and I'm using them. Well, here's what I'm going to leave you with. I'm going to leave you with a challenge here. It's called survival of the fittest. And what you do is that you're going to take this little test here, if you like to, for you, not for me. You're going to keep it for your agency. Give it to the other people in the agency and see how you guys come out. Rate your agency 1 to 10 on these. I think there's 20 questions. Are you on track for tomorrow's agency today? All of the stuff that we've talked about, are you on track? This kind of brings it all together. For example, in marketing, we have a business plan. Our marketing plan is documented, tracked by our agency management system, in-depth understanding of your client base, just what I talked about, average income, one policy customers, and so forth. Rate yourself 1 to 10. That's pretty tough, isn't it? And we have an active and growing prospect system, do you? Sort our client data to do target marketing. Got to do that. Manpower and time to create and monitor our marketing plans. Annual reviews for each of our clients. Do I sound like I'm keep saying it? Okay, that's marketing. Communications are just 5 questions. We believe the internet is the medium today. I think everybody realizes that, don't we? You're probably 10 on that. Do you have an effective interactive website? No, I don't know. Do you? We have a way of tracking activity to and from our website. Do you? You should. You need to. We get a steady flow of new business from our website. Ooh, how tough is that? And viewers return again and again to our site. Not easy, is it? And the final one is technology. We have a method that allows us to track our marketing activity. Website's robust. I keep saying that, don't I? We are involved in social networking, and we use search engine optimization. Well, okay, take that for yourself, print it out or whatever. At the convention, they handed out these, but you can do that. You can print them out yourself here. Add them up. If you add up those 20 questions, your score is 75 below. You're in a heap of trouble here. You need some outside help. 76 to 125, you got a good start, and you're moving in the right direction. And if you're over 126 on those, you're really going the way you should go. Well, here's the final part of the thing. Let me leave you with this. We have always grown up believing, and we've said this so many times, if you always do what you always did, you will always get what you always got. Isn't that right? It used to be, but I have to tell you, it's not anymore. It's wrong because we can't do what we always did. It's so much changing all the time, constantly, that we have to make those changes. We're in the beginning, excuse me, excuse me, shift. We're not in the middle of it. And that's something we tend to forget. Man, oh man, it's the beginning of it. Remember, like Gutenberg and printing. It took us several centuries to figure out how the heck to deal with that, didn't it? Well, it isn't that way anymore. Anyway, conclusion is just this. We can't look at the present through a rearview mirror. Can't march backwards into the future. The future's not what it used to be, said old Yogi Berra. And Tom Johnson, a Florida guy, used to run the Florida Association, who's terrific. He always said you won't be doing what you're doing wrong long, even if you wanted to, and he was so right. My friends, there's a lot we can do in the future. We have to take charge. We can't let it happen to us. Take it over. Get some outside help if you have to. Contact me at any time. I'm glad to be able to help you if I can. I'll send you the right people if I can for whatever you need. I'm sitting up in the mountains in Santa Fe, New Mexico, working with my firm all around the country. But I love to talk to people, so just give me a holler, and I'll be glad to do it. And thanks to the Indiana PIA for having me on as a guest. And I'll look forward to seeing you guys somewhere else in the near future, I hope.